dark, among the stars. Ding dong, the god is dead.
Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Are you feeling charitable? Then smash the subscribe button and the like button, and please do follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. That's never going to get old. I might even play it every day, the audio. Anyway, but lots to be talking about with Zack Snyder's Justice League. The promo, people's reaction to the promo, and some very angry fans as well. But we'll be talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League a little bit later on. But we lead in today with Andy Muschietti sister. Andy Muschietti is the guy directing the Flashpoint movie starring Ezra Miller. But Andy Muschietti's sister on Instagram has been doing a lot of talking. So in some kind of foreign language, someone asks, what's his name? Cyborg, that's right. Is Cyborg in the Flash movie? And she goes, obviously. She said, obviously. So everyone's leading with the story now that it's been confirmed. It hasn't been confirmed by AT&T, Warner Brothers, Warner Media, or anyone, right? The sister said, of course, which pretty much means, but I told you over a year ago, all 50 people of you, right, that Cyborg was going to be in this movie, that Ray Fisher was going to be in this movie. So it's not particularly a great surprise. It's very exciting. And we keep on getting surprise after surprise after surprise. What kind of movie can we expect from Flashpoint? I think a movie that has a balance of darkness and fun and excitement. I don't think it'll be one thing or the other. I do expect a kind of buddy-buddy cyborg Flash story in part. It won't be the whole movie. I've already told you I expect Grant Gustin, the other Flash from Arrowverse, to be involved in this movie as well. I think this is, that crossover, still amazing, right? Still amazing. Who would have thought we would have seen the day? That proved what Walter Hamada was planning all along. A multiverse where all these characters and all these shows and movies are part of this multiverse, right? But now and again, they're going to cross over. Imagine it. Arrowverse crossing over with the DCEU. It's happened once in Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's going to happen in the movies too. I predicted it when this first happened. And this is what they're teasing. This is what they're going to be talking about on the DC fan zone as well. So, be hyped. Be pumped. Be excited. Because Andy Muschietti's sister, the guy who's directing the movie, said Cyborg, Ray Fisher, is going to be in the Flashpoint movie. And I think that's exciting. Don't you? Before we really focus on Zack Snyder's Justice League again, I really want to look at this Spotify deal with AT&T and Warner Media. And the Hollywood Reporter have actually got a write-up of this. This episode today may be a little bit longer. I know some of you don't like long episodes, but there's things to talk about, so we have to talk about them after all. Anyway, DC Superheroes Warner Brothers IP coming to Spotify via expansive podcast deal. The multi-year, multi-project pact includes podcasts based on an array of Warner Brothers franchises. The DC Universe is set to expand into podcasting through an expansive first-look licensing deal between Warner Brothers and Spotify. The multi-year, multi-project pact will turn DC superheroes and supervillains into the subjects of a slate of scripted audio shows that will stream exclusively on Spotify. The companies aren't disclosing whether Batman, Wonder Woman, or other premier names, you mean like Superman, right, that you didn't mention, premier names will be the focus of the new project, but indicated that the shows will feature iconic DC characters. If any of you who are fans of Doctor Who Big Finish, this is what it is. It's basically taking DC characters and giving them audio adventures, very similar to what the Adventures of Superman radio show did back in the early 40s, right? So, this is what I'm talking about. AT&T are on another level, and this is great for Spotify as well. In addition to DC projects, Warner Bros. Will look to turn other characters and franchises from its vast library of IP into Spotify podcasts. It's a really good idea. The deal also leaves room for the companies to produce new stories together, not based on existing IP. Again, they may try and make this sound negative. It's not. It's exactly what's going on over on Big Finish as well. They take characters that we don't see on Doctor Who anymore and they give them other stories. Again, it's exciting. It's not negative. As we continue to see explosive growth in podcasting around the world, we are thrilled to partner with Warner Brothers to build this slate of programming drawn from the worlds of DC and WB. The worlds of DC. Wow. Even Spotify are calling it that. And WB. Very, very interesting. Again, my predictions to my 50 viewers are actually true. Shame nobody's actually listening. Dawn Ostros, Spotify chief content advertising business officer, said in a statement, "Oh my God, do you know who she is? This is the woman who used to run the CW. This woman was the bane of my life. When our Miles left running Smallville, right, she took over the CW and she wanted to make the CW a place for young women. And yeah, she was the bane of my life. But obviously that Warner Brothers connection has helped Spotify snag the deal. So absolutely fantastic news this is. Warner Brothers will lead the development and production of projects in collaboration with Spotify. Peter Girardi, Executive VP of Digital Studio Blue Ribbon, Content and Alternative Programming at Warner Brothers. By the way, that's a new department that they've created. It's brilliant. Animation will serve as the creative lead for the slate, while Robert Steele, Senior VP Business Strategy and Operations for Warner Brothers Digital Networks, will oversee the business side of the partnership. Spotify's deep engagement with its consumer and commitment to prioritizing their podcast vertical makes them an ideal partner in the endeavor, Steele and Girardi said in a joint statement. The deal with Spotify follows the entertainment company's foray into podcasting via a January partnership with Mick Jagger's new venture, Rainy Day Podcast. It comes after a similar, albeit less sprawling podcast played by Marvel, which inked a 2019 deal with Sirius XM for a slate of exclusive shows. The deal's not as exciting. For Spotify, the deal creates a pipeline of exclusive programming featuring globally recognized characters and stories. It builds on company's recent move to bring shows like the Joe Rogan Experience and The Last Podcast on the left to its platform exclusively. Spotify, which has 286 million users, well, I'm one of them, by the way, also has a deal with Barack and Michelle Obama's Higher Ground Audio for a slate of original podcasts. Wow. So I really did want to look at the devil of the detail of this deal, and it's massive. What they've achieved over at AT&T in a short space of time is amazing, because since they've arrived, and do we remember all the articles when people like the Hollywood Reporter and other members of Access Media were saying AT&T are not a good company. They don't know what they're doing. They're in debt. They're always getting customer complaints from their cable and wireless company. Yes, customers complain about stuff, right? That doesn't mean you're a bad company. But well, everyone, it turns out they're not the bunch of, idiotic children with no experience that Access Media tried to sell them as. I wonder why. For all these months, Access Media have been focusing on the debt and a huge acquisition. Is it because a certain little mouse has been trying to spread poison? No, never. Can't be true, right? Anyway, AT&T are the dog's balls. They are amazing. Zack Snyder's Justice League, the DC fandom genius. And this, my friends, this podcast's about DC characters. Imagine sitting there with your martini or your milkshake or whatever, right? Listening to a Superman or an Aquaman adventure. Or crossovers, it doesn't take much. With lockdown and all of this, this is great. This is fantastic. So thank you, AT&T, for understanding that your DC IP is your most formative IP, and it's really important. And this is so very, very exciting. And I just say, bring it on. What a time it is to be a DC fan. I said before, this is going to be a slightly longer episode of the DC Daily. By the way, it's Friday. Welcome to Friday's DC Daily. I think I forgot to say it. The excitement, the unpreparedness of the videos really does come back and haunt me sometimes. Anyway, Another article from the Hollywood Reporter, Justice League and why the right time, and why the time is right for Darkseid. I couldn't agree more. It was the right bloody time back in 2017, but never mind, we're in 2020 now. Zack Snyder's cut of the film will feature the villain who makes his movie debut during an era in which the real world resembles a comic book nightmare. Not quite, but I get your meaning. Darkseid is the slogan used to impress upon the audience the unmistakable power of DC's nihilistic cosmic villain has been in use since 1997's JLA number 13, becoming common part of comic book culture after being an integral part of the critically acclaimed 2018 to 2019 series Mr. Miracle. It's likely to only gain more cultural currency once Darkseid takes over the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, set to debut on HBO Max next year. Is the world at large finally ready to take on comics' biggest, most existential threat of all? When Darkseid was first introduced in 1971 as the villain of Jack Kirby's Fourth World Saga comics, yeah, Jack was a genius, weren't he? New Gods Forever, People, Mr. Miracle and Superman's Power, Jimmy Olsen, he certainly talked a big game. I am the revelation, the Tiger Force, at the core of all things. He declared in Forever People number 3, when you cry out in your dreams, it is Darkseid that you see. Such dialogue was not only fitting for a grand villain, it was for a grand villain. It was also in keeping with Kirby's melodramatic meter. His characters generally spoke in dialogue that was evocative, as it was unrealistic. Unusually, however, one thing became clear as Kirby continued to build Darkseid throughout multiple appearances. He had earned every piece of hyperbole that he delivered about himself. Very, very true. Just to take a moment, Jack Kirby, freaking genius, right? In concept, Darkseid can be read as the ultimate threat if he ever achieved his goal of possessing the anti-life equation, the MacGuffin at the heart of the Fourth World Saga. Then he would eradicate all free will in the universe. In some stories written post-Kirby, he did achieve it, and things went as poorly as you might expect. Kirby, a World War II veteran, didn't know that, had created a character as an embodiment of fascism that went for beyond earlier examples like Marvel's Doctor Doom or the Red Skull, both of whom often devolved into cartoonish rants and parodic exhibits of self-sabotaging villainy. By contrast, Darkseid himself preferred to stay silent in the background, outside of the occasional reminder of just how dangerous he could be when necessary. Something that added to Darkseid's sense of danger, at least in the original Kirby-written appearances, is that Darkseid never actually lost. Sure, his plans would suffer setbacks, but there was never a direct, complete defeat. He was never arrested, never humiliated in that way. He was always present. His threat never truly diminished. All of this makes Darkseid a threat in many ways similar to the MCU's Thanos. Can I just be absolutely clear, because they keep on doing this? Darkseid isn't Thanos. He's nothing like Thanos. They're two very, very different characters. They may look monstrous, but they're very different. And their goals are absolutely very different. A character notably somewhat inspired by Kirby's creation a handful of years earlier, yet Darkseid, at his heart, is a more dangerous threat. He doesn't want to kill, but dominate. And he doesn't have the quasi-sympathetic motivation of Josh Brolin's curiously chinned Avengers nemesis. Exactly. Why does Darkseid want to destroy all free will? What makes him want to rule over everything? Can any one person really be so cruel to want their thoughts to be the only thoughts in existence? And this is the essence of the concept of Darkseid. He wants his voice, his way, in your head. That is so ever so frightening. But why? This is what Zack Snyder understands about this character. What you're going to get, and I mean, I don't think we're going to get, I don't know, but I don't think we're going to get, Darkseid front and centre in this movie. I think that's to come. But I think Zack had a really good plan for Darkseid, and people who say he doesn't get the comics or doesn't care about the comics, this guy studied everything. And we would have got a great first live-action version of Darkseid, although we did get one awful one in Smallville. I love Smallville, but bloody hell, Lionel Luthor turning into Darkseid. Nah. Anyway, we won't talk about that because I love Smallville and it just winds me up. Darkseid is, in some ways, 2020 and 2021 are the ideal times for Darkseid to appear on the mainstream stage. The world feels out of control and on the verge of fascism in many areas, priming audiences for a story in which a threat such as Darkseid is not only confronted, but hopefully pushed back, if not outright vanquished. This might not be exactly what audiences will see in Snyder's Justice League, considering he was entirely missing from the theatrical cut. How much Darkseid can even show up in the new version after all? And would Snyder's cinematic version be the same character as his comic book inspiration? But the need nevertheless remains. I think he's going to be very faithful to the comics, but I think he's going to be a lot scarier than that because that's what Zack Snyder does. And there will be depth and there will be deep cuts, so get excited. Whatever the reason Darkseid was missing from... God, I hate notifications! Whatever the reason Darkseid was missing from the first incarnation of Justice League, the fact remains that it may have been a blessing in disguise. Had he shown up in 2017, a despot obsessed with controlling all thoughts so that it matched his wouldn't have felt so in tune with the times. It doesn't have to. Everything doesn't have to be about social commentary. But anyway, with the first footage, Snyder is teasing that Darkseid might be a timeless threat to the good guys. It's very possible that he might be the most timely threat as well. Well, I think it's amazing. I really do. I think, look, to have the Hollywood Reporter saying this is a really timely, character to be talking about, for me, just says it all, because these are the Access Media people who said this film didn't exist, it was never going to happen, and Zack was making them look stupid every day over on Vero, but it is happening. I do believe it will be faithful to the comics, but like everything Zack Snyder, it will be his. It will be his. It will be his vision. As I say, not everything has to be copied and pasted. A live-action Darkseid is a great challenge, and I'm really looking forward to it. Again, we're going to see Euxis. We know that. Now, how much of Darkseid we actually see in this movie? Now, Euxis is a young Darkseid before he becomes a god. Before he becomes, there's a little origin story in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is amazing. Another thing we've got to look forward to from this 4-hour cut, whether it's a TV show or a movie, who knows? I think it will get a cinematic release, but it also will get the episodic situation. Now, they have said in their marketing only on HBO. That's interesting, but things can change as we move forward, so that'll be very interesting. But it was great to read that article and just look at the thought process now of Access Media. But yes, it's the right time for Darkseid. Screen Crush, the YouTube channel, did a little shot-by-shot reaction to Zack Snyder's Justice League teaser trailer. Now, as you know, I don't do things like that, and I tell you why I don't do shots by shots, because I don't have a good eye and I don't really notice things. So we're going to let them do it. It's a 4-minute video. Let's check this out.
I'm Ryan Airy. So we have a new 34-second teaser of the Justice League Snyder Cut that actually points to how the movie is going to be different from the Frankenstein's monster Joss Whedon version. The narration is Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor from the ending of Batman vs. Superman.
The bell's already been rung. Ding dong. The god is dead.
Now, in context, the ringing bell he's talking about is referring to Superman being dead and how Earth is vulnerable to invasion from other alien races.
And he's coming!
But there's also a double meaning here. Talking about how you can't unring a bell is a subtle nod to the Release the Snyder Cut hashtag campaign. Once Zack Snyder started to release images of his cut of the film, the bell was rung, and it left fans clamoring for more. And remember, Luthor's narration was originally going to play over the introduction of Steppenwolf, as shown in a Batman vs. Superman deleted scene. So this scene most likely takes place in the Temple of the Amazons. And we see a brief shot of this in the Justice League theatrical release. After Steppenwolf steals the Mother Box from Themyscira, Hippolyta shoots an arrow that lights up this temple in Crete. Diana sees this, and in the Whedon version goes straight to Bruce. But it looks like that this is the scene where she actually learns about Darkseid inside the temple. So why do I think so? because her clothes match. So, she's in this Greek tomb surrounded by artifacts. Notice this image of the 3 mother boxes behind her. And then we see this mural of Darkseid. Now, if you're not familiar, Darkseid was Thanos before Thanos existed. He rules a planet called Apocalypse. He wants to rule the universe with something called the anti-life equation, and he's one of the Justice League's greatest enemies.
Can't you see that it's hopeless?
He's also the nephew of Steppenwolf, the villain from Justice League. You can also see a glimpse of Darkseid's warhounds here. Now, in this mural, notice he's holding a spear that we see later in the trailer. I'm not a huge fan of this, because Darkseid doesn't use weapons in the comics because he doesn't need to. He's just that powerful. However, this could be the Spear of Destiny. This weapon was used to kill Christ, and it's magical, and was once used by Hitler. Comics are great. And this strange crystal could be a link to Wonder Woman 1984. This is most likely the Chaos Crystal. Basically, it's an incredibly powerful MacGuffin in DC Comics. It grants your wishes and basically gives you unlimited power. So maybe Darkseid originally used this crystal during his invasion of Earth that we see in the flashbacks. In the comics, Earth 2 Superman smashed the crystal and created less powerful shards. So maybe some superpowered hero will do this in the flashback war against Apocalypse. And this brings me to Wonder Woman 1984. This crystal in Max Lord's possession could be a shard of the Chaos Crystal, and maybe it's used to bring Steve Trevor back to life. So the trailer ends with the reveal of Darkseid. Now this looks like it takes place during the invasion of Earth that we saw in the theatrical cut. See, I don't think Darkseid will actually appear much in this movie. Remember, this was originally supposed to be part 1 of 2, but after Snyder was forced out, Warner's demanded that Joss Whedon cut it down to 1 movie. Now, I heard a rumor, and I can't say where I heard it from, about the Justice League's original ending. So, spoilers ahead. Bow out now if you don't want to know, but please leave a comment and a like on your way out. Ready? The rumor is that the Justice League originally ended with the heroes defeating Steppenwolf, and then Darkseid steps out of a boom tube, picks up Steppenwolf, and rips him in half. And I think this makes more sense than Darkseid having a large role in this movie. As far as we know, Darkseid wasn't officially cast, but Zack Snyder wanted to recruit Ray Porter for the role. Are you excited for the Snyder Cut? Let me know in the comments below. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.
Ryan. Kind of a good video, but Ray Porter was cast. He already did voice tracks. What are you talking about? Anyway, we don't want to talk about nonsense like that. We're not on Twitter now, are we? So, yeah, there were some interesting things. Now, we do have a little bit of an issue here. Wonder Woman 84 is coming out October the 2nd, unless they delay it again, and I don't think that they will. The thing for me is now, clearly, Wonder Woman 84 is supposed to be viewed after Zack Snyder's Justice League. And if big Kev Sujihara kept his hands in his pockets, that's how we would have viewed it. But now, we're going to see Wonder Woman 84 before Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, I've already seen a test screening of this, right? So I've already kind of spotted it for myself. But what I will say is, I'm not sure now. Should I see the finished version of Wonder Woman 84 on October the 2nd, or should I wait till I see Zack Snyder's Justice League? Nah, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to watch Wonder Woman 84, theatrical cut, October the 2nd. Then when Zack Snyder's Justice League's out, I'm going to watch that. Then I'm going to binge every single movie and watch it in the order that we're supposed to see it on. Look at this baby, everyone. Birds of Prey. It doesn't seem to have the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn on it. It does, but it's very faint. Anyway, I got this baby through the post. Thank you, Amazon. Really happy because the new DC multiverse is a place for everyone. It's Arrowverse, it's the DCEU, and it's the new heroes that are going to be developed by J.J. Abrams and many more wonderful creatives. So it's very, very exciting. Now we have to talk about the fans. We have to talk about us, finally today, before I go. Now, it's come to my attention that Zack Snyder has, what can I say? Has 3 or 4 or 5 people who are fans, who he trusts, who he feeds information to, and he showed them the teaser trailer of his Justice League movie, the one we saw yesterday. Now, this has upset many of the fans, saying that they don't like Zack anymore, they can't look up to him because of this. Personally, I couldn't give a stuff. As you know, as soon as I saw that teaser, I was just excited. Why should I care? Because 4 or 5 people were lucky enough to see it 3 or 4 days before me. It really doesn't matter. It's Zack's movie. It's Zack's prerogative. And to cancel someone that you've been saying, sir, you're my God, I love you, wow. And then all of a sudden, because he's not sending you messages and sending you a teaser trailer, a 10-second one, by the way, 3 or 4 days before the rest of us, you're upset with him. It makes no sense. Absolutely ridiculous. What I will say is this. Now, obviously, Zack has 4 or 5 people, as I said, who he believes helped him get what he wanted, the cut. He's very grateful. So he's showing them some loyalty. He's a very loyal guy. The situation is, of course, the rest of us who were hashtagging and shouting out to the rooftops also did our bit. The problem is, Zack Snyder can't inbox and, give extra information to over 1 million people or however many people it is, right? So in this situation, what happens is, personally, if it was me, I wouldn't be DMing any of the fans. I wouldn't be giving them any information. I wouldn't be giving them any exclusive. I'd be treating everyone the same. Then there wouldn't be this situation. But again, he's a loyal man, and he wants to say to the people who did really do a lot of the donkey work, who became, I hate the word elite, but they have become elites in the fandom, and because he trusts them. Now, there's some bad feeling. There's this civil war going on. There's the jealous side that are not happy that they're the included side. And of course, Zack doesn't like bullying. So the more you see the jealous people bullying the other people, but I kind of think they're all as bad as each other. It's become a sitcom now. I've asked you people to stop, but you won't stop. You know what I'm going to do from now on? I'm going to make fun of you. I am actually going to quote tweet with a GIF of only fools and horses. You're going to get, if you're arguing, I don't care what side of the table you're on, you're all going to get an only fools and horses GIF, because this is getting completely out of hand. Now, me personally, I'm happy. We're getting Zack Snyder's Justice League. We're hopefully getting the haircut. We are getting a combination of Arrowverse, the DCEU, multiple Earths, multiple characters, movies, TV shows, all crossing over together. And you lot are arguing? We should be dancing in the streets, necking champagne, making love to each other, not making war. Comment down below. Like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DC Daily. See you again soon.